Benvenuto! Welcome to Cherry Hill Home Cooking. My name is Mark. Today we're going to make a really delicious, easy bacon dip, and it's going to highlight our homemade mayonnaise. All right. Now, the original name of this recipe is BTL Bacon Dip. So or BTL Dip, bacon, lettuce, and tomato. But truthfully, I don't like putting the lettuce in it. So that's the only thing I've really kind of changed on this recipe. But I did want to show you guys a tip on how we do the bacon. Anyway, for this, we need about 6, 7, 8 slices of bacon, depending upon how big they are. Of course, if you want to double this, just double all the ingredients. We need our delicious homemade mayonnaise, or your mayonnaise of choice. We're going to need a cup of that. We need a cup of sour cream. We need a cup of Sharp Cheddar cheese. You can use any cheese you want in this whatsoever. I'm going to put a little pepper in there. There's already a lot of salt. Our cheese is salty. Our bacon's going to be salty. The chips we're going to eat with it are going to be salty. So, and you need about a cup of diced tomatoes. Okay, so about 2 tomatoes this size. These are just greenhouse tomatoes. All right, but you want to de-seed them. All right, so really easy. So it really kind of depends upon how juicy the tomato is. But the way I do it is I just cut that off onto a paper towel and I take out the seeds. All right, maybe give it a little pat on the towel. We don't want to add too much moisture to this, so that's why we do that. And then just cut it into little strips and then just dice it. And we don't need big gigantic chunks, so little dices. All right, and then put that in a bowl. To give it a little bit of green, we're going to garnish it with some green onions, and those I'm just going to chop up into little pieces. All right, and I'll chop the rest of them a little later, and then we're just going to garnish the top of it when everything is done. All right, so we can put this aside for now. Now, I think I've showed you this little tip, which I certainly didn't invent it. I think I probably saw it on YouTube or something. But anyway, sometimes my bacon is it's defrosted. We had bought a lot it was on sale at one of the big box stores, so we bought 3 or 4 pounds, so I had to defrost it. But anyway, so nothing that matters, guys. I don't know, TMI, right? All right, so you know how when you take it right out of the oven, it's out of the refrigerator, it's sometimes hard to separate. So if you take it and you roll it like that, a little bit, and then when you open it, which I don't know if this is a easy pale one, which I usually have to get Wade to do because I could never get it undone. But let's see. Will the YouTube gods let me get it out? All right, now, so as you can see, our bacon is very thick there. Gonna be easy to unravel. Now, so I'm gonna do this in the oven. And we need at least 6. Now, I wanted to just show you this because I've learned a few tricks doing bacon in the oven. That's really fatty bacon, but all right. So we need that's 3. Look how easy that's peeling off. 4. 5. 6. Let's move them over, maybe get at least 1 more piece. All right, so 7. All right, now, this is one of the only times that we're going to start with a cold oven. And I have found that when you bake your bacon in the oven, it comes out better if you start with the oven cold. So let's bring this on over to the oven. And put it in. Then we're going to set our oven to 375 and hit start. To me, it seems that it gives the oven, as it's starting to warm up, the fat is getting a little warm. So I find that it doesn't get burnt or too crispy by the time it's cooked. So it's going to take about 20 minutes, and I'm going to say start your 20 minutes once it reaches temperature. All right. But anyway, so we talked about our sour cream. We got our homemade mayonnaise, our cheddar cheese, our tomatoes. All right, and of course this is just, and we're going to put a little pepper in, just a suggestion chips wise. We're going to have a little variety. These are Wade's favorite, the Brenton Originals. We've got some white corn chips, and I've got some Ritz crackers. And of course you can have some regular chips or whatever the case you want. All right, Wade's going to stay right here on the counter because somebody made fun of my shorts, and that was fine, but I have the same shorts on, so I don't want to get the same comment. Forgot to get a bowl. Because we can start to get this all ready before we actually, our bacon is done, because we want this to get, you go in the refrigerator and get a little cold anyway, all right? So this is going to be easier. We got our, and Wade asked me if I had all my utensils, and I said yes, but I don't. I need a big spoon. So, like I said, haven't put the timer on. We're going to wait till that reaches its temperature of 375. All right, so you need a cup of each. All right, now this we made, and I know, look at that beautiful colored mayonnaise. I don't know, it just reminds me of mayonnaise when I was a kid. I don't know why. Not that my mom made it, but we always used it. I grew up in Massachusetts, so of course it was Cane's mayonnaise in Massachusetts. Now where we live, you can't really get the Cane's anymore. It's Hellmann's, and Cane's is still my favorite. They're probably the exact same commercially, but anyway. So we need about a cup, all right? And I know this is just about a cup of mayonnaise, so I'm not going to bother measuring it out because we used a cup of oil, but I'm going to save a little because that's delicious. All right, and then we got our cup of sour cream. So this is a cold dip. Of course, once our bacon cooks, I'm going to put a couple pinches of pepper in there. You do it to taste. Of course, you could add a little hot sauce in here. You could add some Tony's Creole seasoning. Speaking of that, I saw a nice recipe for Creole, no, I'm sorry. Yeah, Cajun, it was Cajun macaroni salad. So, Todd, is Cajun macaroni salad a real thing? One of the things it called for Creole mustard, which I looked, I can't find it. I'll order it online. I'm sure I can get it online. But I was almost going to make that today with our beautiful homemade mayonnaise. But we will. It looks delicious. It's simple with the dressing and the Cajun seasoning. Might be a little bit spicy, but I'm sure we'll love it. But anyway, so you can put in whatever seasoning you want in here, guys. If you want to add some salt, go ahead and add some salt. We'll add our cheese. That's a cup of cheese. Maybe a little bit more than a cup. So like I said, this is a cold bacon dip. And we'll add our tomatoes. Get in there. And guys, that's all there is to it, other than once our bacon is cooked, we're gonna let it cool. We're gonna cut it up into little pieces, and we're gonna add it to our bowl here. But again, it won't hurt to get this chilling a little bit, although really at this point most everything is chilled, the mayonnaise and the sour cream. I'm gonna give it a little, so again, I'm not gonna put the green onions on it right now. We're gonna just top it with it. Give it a little taste. Got a tomato in there. I think it's delicious. I don't think it needs Yeah, it needs a little salt.
You sure?
I'm sure. Give it a couple good pinches of kosher salt. That's probably about 1/4 teaspoon, if that I just put in there. I think it needs a little bit more pepper. Again, I've probably put about 1/4 teaspoon of fresh ground pepper in there. All right, I'm going to cover this. I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. And when our... Is that annoying at all? No. When our bacon's done and cooled, we'll come back and we will finish. See you in a little while. All right, guys. So remember, we're baking some bacon. I put my bacon on a rack, put it in a cold oven set at 375. Once it reaches the temperature, I told Google to set a timer, and it's taken just about 15 minutes, and I think it is perfect, crispy, not overcooked bacon. All right, that looks delicious to me. All right, we're going to let this cool a little bit till we can handle it. Then I'm going to chop them up, and when we come back, we'll finish up our dip. See you in a little bit. All right, guys, I've chopped my bacon up. All right, the only thing left to do is, of course, I let it cool down enough to be so that I can handle it. And we'll incorporate it into our rest of our dip. Now, depending upon how cool everything was, if your mayonnaise had been refrigerated in your cottage cheese and then we put it back in the refrigerator, it should be served refrigerated or cool. So, yeah. No, it wasn't. Did I say cream cheese? It was sour cream.
Oh, sour cream.
It was sour cream. Yeah. All right. Now, before we put it in a attractive bowl and serve it, we get to taste it. Of course, you want to taste it for seasoning, so see if you can make sure you can get a piece of bacon, a piece of tomato. Look at that. That's delicious. All right, I'm going to serve it up, and we're going to eat it. See you in a little while. All right, well, this isn't actually our dinner tonight. This is a hors d'oeuvre. We went out to one of our favorite restaurants last night and had a huge, beautiful meal, and we've got leftovers. So that's going to be our dinner tonight. But for our appetizer, we got our bacon dip with our homemade
bacon cheese dip.
Bacon cheese dip? Well, I'm not quite sure what I'm going to call it. I'll think of something to call it. Because it used to be, like I said, BLT dip, but I left out the lettuce. But anyway, with our homemade mayonnaise. And I'm going to go in for corn chip first.
I'm going to try a cracker.
Okay. Ooh, I'm going to make sure you get everything in there. Nice tomato and cheese. Oh, that's awesome.
That is delicious. Wow. That is, oops, double dip.
You could double dip, it's just us, but yeah. So you got to take a huge amount. I'll try it on a Ritz. Everything is better on a Ritz. Yo, that's awesome.
That is really good.
It really is. I guess because you got to make the bacon. There's a little bit of effort in there, but it's an easy dip to make. It's delicious. It's always a party favorite. Before I stop talking and continue to eat, I don't know if anybody of you have seen the background of, on the TV here, but Barnabas is finally here. Yay! Always one of my favorite parts of the 5 years of this series is because I watch it from the beginning to the end and then I start it over again. It's always fun when Barnabas shows up. All right. We'll keep the volume up, but I'm going to keep eating.
Thank you guys for watching our video. Please remember to like and subscribe. And we'll see you on the next one.
Ciao.
Bye. That is amazing.
I like that.